NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Ryan Chilcote has more on today's protests and the growing popularity of Mr. Navalny.
Alexei Navalny appears to be increasingly popular. Witness the fact that tens of thousands of people turned out at these protests.
From the far eastern city of Vladivostok,
when Navalny arrived from Germany a little over a week ago, his team released a video in which he alleged that President Putin has a palace that is valued at $1 billion that was built on bribes. Now, the Kremlin has denied this allegation, but this video has been watched by more than 71 million people. That suggests that Mr. Navalny is getting increasingly popular. I profiled him twice, first in 2011 when he was basically an activist investor investigating corruption in state companies. And then again in 2017, when he was trying to run for president. He was actually barred from being on the ballot then. And in 2011, he was almost unknown. 2017, popular, but mostly amongst the youth. When Navalny arrived from Germany a little over a week ago, his team released a video in which he alleged that President Putin has a palace that is valued at $1 billion that was built on bribes. Now, the Kremlin has denied this allegation, but this video has been watched by more than 71 million people.
Да. Пожалуйста, вот я вижу поднятую руку там. Представьтесь, пожалуйста.
Уважаемый Владимир Владимирович, могу ли я задать вопрос, касаемо лично вас?
Меня? Я вроде как уже закончил давно уже университет, но тем не менее, пожалуйста.
Спасибо большое за возможность. Меня зовут Чемизов Даниил, я студент 3-го курса Уфимского государственного нефтяного технического университета. Хотел бы начать с того, что студенты сегодня не смотрят телевидение, и основным источником информации является сеть интернет. Мы, конечно, понимаем, что всему верить нельзя, так как контент интернета абсолютно полярный, но сейчас в топе видеохостинга YouTube находится фильм расследования о том, что у вас якобы имеется дворец в Геленджике. Владимир Владимирович, правда ли это?
Да, смотрите, я не смотрел этого фильма, просто за отсутствием свободного времени для просмотра такой информации. Но листал видеоподборки, которые мне помощники принесли. Сразу хочу ответить на ваш вопрос. Ничего из того, что там указано в качестве моей собственности, ни мне, ни моим близким родственникам не принадлежит и никогда не принадлежало. Никогда. Вот это первое.
In 2011, he was almost unknown. 2017, popular, but mostly amongst the youth.
I caught up with Slavik and Artie the following day. They joined a political protest. But it wasn't quite what it seemed.
Someone's hired them to be a rent-a-crowd. Не знаю, что ты за это сегодня, против кого. Самое главное, когда дают деньги. Самое главное – деньги. А за кого-нибудь. И сколько в час? Уговор 20 гривен в час. Хорошо?
They would each take away about £3 for 2 hours' work.
Sometimes it's easy to forget that they're street children. You forget that they're wearing every stitch of clothing they own to stay warm in this freezing weather, and that they're here to make a couple of quid standing about in the freezing cold. They're not what they seem. One moment they just seem like regular kids hanging out, larking about, being light-hearted. And I have to remind myself that the circumstances they were born in, the choices they've made, mean the options ahead of them are really, really bleak.
Hello. So today we're going to talk about some politics and current issues. As you may know or not, that this gentleman called Navalny, who the Western media wants to portray him as opposition of Putin. Well, Navalny is a joke. He's a blogger. What do you call him? A blogger. He's a blogger, nothing else. Every time he goes to elections, he gets less votes than the Communist Party. He gets less than 2%. But the Western media, especially CNNs and others of the kind, portray him, Navalny, as the opposition, the main guy opposing Daniel Putin. In Russia is a joke. But you don't know that because you read Western media. You watch Western media and they keep on pumping his image, and all these articles, and every time he says something, they show. So the Western media wants to portray him as the #1 opposition in Russia. It's not. It's a joke. 99% of the people on this side of the world know it's a joke. Not only is a joke, but he's an egomaniac. He actually went on live TV saying he was the son of God. Oh yes, Navalny. He said he was the son of God, live. But CNN didn't publish that interview. They didn't post that. Or most of the Western media that wants to portray him as the opposition to Putin, they didn't show that. But here, on this side of the world, we know. He went on TV saying he was the son of God, the chosen one. The guy's an egomaniac. He has some issues. He's a psychopath. And plus, he works for the CIA. Oh yes, he's getting all these millions from the CIA. It's not from selling T-shirts in the street. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. You know what I'm talking about. Navalny, supposedly poisoned in Russia with Novichok. But somehow Russia decided to send him to Berlin. Instead of killing him in Russia, if that was the point, to kill an opposition guy, no. Send him to Berlin. Take care of him. And then there they said, oh, it was Novichok. Like, in Russia, they were like, what? If Russia wanted to kill this guy, would they save his life and then send him to a clinic in Berlin? Anyway, we have a few things to talk about today about this charade, this circus.
Here's the key thing to keep in mind. In September, Russia is going to have a very important parliamentary election for the State Duma. There is a school of thought that if the Kremlin wants to, they will keep him in jail until at least after that election in September, and perhaps for years and years beyond that, simply to solve this political problem.
Ну так вот, даже люди, которые еще имущества-то не имеют, хоть как-то свои отношения фиксируют на бумаге. Значит, в современном мире, когда речь идет об объектах, которые стоят миллионы, а может быть миллиарды, ведь всегда где-то, хоть как-то на протяжении длительного времени, а это, кстати говоря, информация уже муссируется на протяжении более чем 10 лет. Так или иначе, сейчас просто вот удобный случай, все скомпоновали и решили всеми этими материалами промыть мозги наших граждан. И запустили это в интернет, фильмы какие-то, там видеопрограммы. Значит, ну так вот, но хоть на протяжении 10 лет что-то должно было остаться, хоть какие-то оформления каких-то земельных участков, какие-то проводки финансовые, ну хотя бы какие-то оформления у нотариуса. И там тоже следы должны остаться. В нотариальных книгах, в электронном виде. Вместо всего этого что? Ну вот разместили мою фотографию или мое плавание стилем баттерфляй. Ну вот разместили мою фотографию или мое плавание стилем баттерфляй. Я так корявенько, но иногда люблю так поплавать. В каком-то бассейне, где я никогда не был. Я не знаю, что это за бассейн. Но я так плавал. Когда и где? В Енисее в 2016 году. Ну, в таких случаях это просто компиляция, это монтаж. Выражаясь языком одного из известных наших персонажей, нужно сказать, скучно, девочки. Ну, хоть чего-нибудь там попридумали бы еще. Люди, которые там упоминаются. Я кого-то знаю. Кто-то является моим приятелем, бывшим коллегой. Какие-то дальние родственники, какие-то знакомые. Есть люди, которых я вообще не знаю, которые там упоминаются. Вообще, просто никогда их не видел в глаза. Не знаком с ними. Понимаю, что им не очень хочется близко со мной вставать, потому что кто рядом не появится, на того сразу санкции накладывают.
So a few days ago, Mr. Navalny published a video. It's called Putin's Palace, the biggest bribe. Let me show you a little bit of it, okay? Then we'll come back. This is going to be fun. To debunk oh, but before I even show you the video, a clip, because it's a long video that Navalny put together, apparently. Let me tell you something. Is that Navalny here, on this side of the world, did an interview saying that while he was in a coma in Berlin, in the Berlin hospital, while he was in a coma, he had a dream. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. You can find the footage. He said while he was in a coma, he had a dream. And the dream was to fly a drone, go into Putin's palace.
Прямо сейчас мы находимся в нескольких сотнях метрах от берега, и на десятки километров вокруг ни один полицейский не знает, что мы здесь делаем. Это прекрасно, потому что прямо сейчас мы будем запускать дрон и сделаем для вас легендарную съемку дворца Путина. Этот дворец еще никто не видел с дрона. Он секретный, он настолько засекречен, что его охраняет Федеральная служба охраны.
Все говорили, что снять это невозможно. Ну, мы и сами так думали, а потом взяли и попробовали. Не получилось. Попробовали еще. Сделали 4 попытки, но получилось только однажды.
And the dream was to fly a drone, go into Putin's palace, which should be one of the most safe places in the world. If Putin lived there or goes there from time to time, if it was his house, his palace, you can imagine the kind of security he would have around there. And the water, the ground, and above. But apparently, Navalny had this dream while he was in a coma. This is fact. The videos are out there, you can search. He had a dream that he could fly a drone and record everything over Putin's palace, bigger than a city. A dream while he was in a coma. I tell this guy's a egomaniac, psychopath, and he comes up with all kinds of shit. But he's also getting paid millions by the CIA. He comes up with, and is a conspiracy theorist of the worst kind, because his conspiracies don't even hold up, It's all clouds. There's nothing solid to it. He just says stuff, and the weak people in Russia believe. The weak. And everybody in the world, whomever wants to believe in him. In America, in Peru, in South Africa, whomever wants to believe, they believe. So yeah, that's the story.
Координатор.
Вы его знаете?
Нет, не знаю.
Сколько он вам заплатил за это?
$1000.
Что вы делали сегодня перед тем, как вас задержали?
Встречался с людьми, группой людей.
Что вы хотели сегодня совершить?
Ничего, меня попросили передать пакет с заготовленными гвоздями.
Вот эти гвозди заготовили вы?
Ну, если точнее, то я попросил знакомого.
Что вы должны были с ними сделать?
Должен был передать их человеку.
Для чего?
Чтобы он их раскидал.
Где раскидал?
Не знаю, он мне не говорил. Для машин.
Что за человек? Откуда вы его знаете?
Он мне написал, я его не знаю ни телефона, ни имени, просто ник.
Всем присутствующим добрый день. Они сидят против закона, потому и подавно никуда не захотят из своего района. Очень много. Благодарить за то, что вы так подробно разъяснили Челябинцу.
Почему?
Для чего вы снимаете?
Просто интересно. А вы что, все продаете или что?
Мы не продаем.
А что делаете? Получаете?
Нет.
А что?
Да.
А куда пошли?
Нам должны. Ладно.
А что вы продаете или что-то?
Не проблема.
А что происходит?
Митинг, операция митинг.
А вы...
Операция митинг.
А что, можно мне тоже деньги получить?
Нет.
А почему нельзя? А по сколько вы им даете?
500 рублей.
А за что?
За участие.
за участие, а что они должны делать?
Ничего просто. Свое.
А что, защищать?
Кого?
Против или
Против.
за?
Не знаю, что ты за это сегодня. Против кого?
Самое главное, хай дают деньги.
Самое главное?
Деньги. А за кого-нибудь.
И сколько в час?
Говорю, что 20 гривен в час.
Хорошо?
They would each take away about £3 for 2 hours' work.
Работу людям!
Sometimes it's easy to forget that they're street children. You forget that they're wearing every stitch of clothing they own to stay warm in this freezing weather, and that they're here to make a couple of quid standing about in the freezing cold. They're not what they seem. They're not what they seem. They're not what they seem. They're not what they seem.
They pay people to come to the streets and protest. It does not mean, it does not matter what they protest against. They don't care. They want some money to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to pay gas, to buy food. And America does that on this side of the world, to destabilize, so that it can bring another military base closer and closer and closer. The CIA is very involved in Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia in all kinds of ways. Jehovah's Witnesses, the church, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're all CIA in Russia, in Ukraine too. The Mormons, or so-called Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, very involved in Ukrainian politics, and they pay the homeless. When they want 100,000, they pay 100,000. When they want 20,000, they'll pay. They always pay. Doesn't matter. And from the Mormon Church is very involved with the CIA, by the way. You know a guy called Mitt Romney? He ran for president of the United States. He's a Mormon and a CIA insider. Anyway, nothing is what you think it is. This circus, this chess game, is so complex. It's almost impossible to understand unless you are in the know, because you already know. Now, I don't want to for you to think that Russia is a virgin, or China is a virgin, or South Africa is a virgin, or Brazil is a virgin. There's no virgins in this world of espionage, in this world of games behind the curtain. Everybody's guilty, everybody's innocent. Understand? Everybody's guilty, everybody's innocent. Everybody's trying to find a way to help their own country. There's no virgins in this political spy war. But there are certain countries that go overboard and they get children, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, turn against their parents with the promise of money and drugs and a better life. And the CIA does that. Maybe Russia will do it one day, but not yet. They haven't done it yet. The moment they do it, I walk away. They haven't done it yet. The CIA does it. But not only the CIA, China does it, Pakistan does it, India does it, South Africa does it, Brazil does it, Mexico does it, Germany does it, England does it, France does it. Russia, not yet. They have not involved children into this mess, the mess of adults. You can watch now the video about the Putin's palace, which by now is like 70 million, at least 70 million views. If you knew how to speak Russian, you would understand that it was a translation from English to Russian. It's pathetic. It's so pathetic that's funny. This documentary with Navalny, it was literally not written by him, because someone wrote it in English and then someone translated it to Russian, but it doesn't make any sense. The general sentences, it does make sense, but there are things within the sentences, the words, that any Russian person, any speaking Russian person can't tell that. This was not written by Russians. Examples: words that in English mean like a back door. They translated into a mud hut. A mud hut. So people who know Russian and watch this documentary, they immediately like, what is this? This is not Russian. Someone else, obviously an English-speaking person, wrote this and then translated and told Navalny to speak it on camera, because if you know a little bit of Russian, you know that you cannot confuse a back room with a mud hut. But the translations that they did, whomever English-speaking person, CIA for sure, thought, yeah, I know enough Russian to translate this. Yes, you know enough Russian for Russians to understand, but that's not how Russians speak. There are so many things on this speech that makes no sense, because the translation is all wrong. It is a CIA English written and English translated to Russian version. No Russian speaks like that. All the Russians here are laughing because yeah, that's not Russian. That's obviously an English person trying to speak Russian, translated his message into Russian. And there are so many hilarious things, funny things. Like a back room in the kitchen. A back room in the kitchen when the Russians keep, some noodles and stuff during the winter or safeguard. They have a name for that. On the video, it comes up with a name that nobody in Russia uses. It's just pathetic, Anyway, trust Navalny, the man in a coma who had a dream of drones. And trust the fake images of palaces in Italy that are trying to pass as Russian Italy, as a Russian palace, the Putin palace.
Something is always happening. But when it happens, people don't always see it.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
But when it happens, people don't always see it, or understand it, or accept it. Something is always happening. But when it happens, people don't always see it, or understand it, or accept it.
Watch the video. Putin's palace, the largest bribe in the world or something like that. 90% of the images that are shown inside the supposed palace, 90% do not belong in that palace. There are actually photos from Italian palaces. Italian, yes. Some of them I know because I slept in them. Oh yes, this is a whole big fake. But how many tourists can get into private palaces in Italy? Zero. Doesn't matter if you're an American tourist, German tourist, Chinese tourist. If you go to Italy, you can visit many things, but you cannot visit everything. Most of the images that were shown in this dumb, fake CIA Navalny documentary images were used from inside of Italian palaces, not Russian palaces, not that palace. Some images were taken from places in Florence, others in Venice, 2 or 3 in Genova, Florence already said, Bolzano, 2, Rome, and a couple, Naples, 1. All those images you see, those frescoes, those beautiful paintings that you see that are supposedly in that palace, the Putin palace, are actually photos, images from Italian palaces that are right now either under renovation or there are private places, private palaces. But people don't know, and if they don't know, they believe in whatever they're told. Incredibly, incredible. Oh, maybe for you, not for me. Cheers. It was a bunch of oligarchs. It's not even 15 years ago, it's longer than that, in the early 2000s. They offered Putin, Daniel, to build a palace for him. Daniel said, "Niet, no, I don't want to." They built it anyway. These oligarchs, as a bunch of oligarchs, they built a palace. doesn't belong to Putin. They asked Putin's opinion, and Putin gave his opinion, but it doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the Russian Federation. It does not belong to one single person, nor even in a corruption way. They literally, these oligarchs, some are corrupt, other not, they built it and give it to the Russian Federation. This palace that you see like big scandal, Putin's palace. This palace belongs to the Karishus. This palace belongs to the Karishus. More than that, belongs to Mikhail. Jesus. And to the whole family. Just thousands and thousands of people. If we win this war, that's where Mikhail and this family, maybe me, probably not because I don't like that kind of stuff, but that palace was built by oligarchs. Some were in the know, some not, but 80% knew, so that when we win this war, the Karishus have a place to stay. Now, the Karishus never asked for such a wonderful, big, huge palace. The Karishus never asked for anything. But the oligarchs of Russia, who are in the know, decided with their own money to build this, so that when the Karishus win this war, this will be their house. Mikhail, Gabriel, Azazel, Daniel, everybody. They have a place to stay. Will any of us ever sleep there one night? I doubt it. Daniel, he has a house, big house, but humble. Daniel has a house, big house, but humble compared to oligarchs outside Russia, outside Moscow. Gabriel, he doesn't give a shit. Me, I'm happy where I am. This, what people call Putin's palace, was an offer of a bunch of oligarchs gave to him. And he said no. No, because he didn't work towards it and it will be a bad example. Nevertheless, the oligarchs built it. It's there. Waiting. Nobody sleeps there. Nobody lives there. Daniel never been there. I've never been there. Gabriel never been there. Mikhail never been there. It's empty. But it's there. If we win this war, 2017-2022, maybe Daniel retires from being president of Russia and moves there. I doubt it. He loves Russia, and he loves Moscow, and he loves St. Petersburg even more. So I doubt it. He never slept there. This was this palace cost like 1.5 billion euros, whatever. They had nothing to do with Daniel. Nothing to do with the cause. These are oligarchs who serve the cause, who decided we want to build a palace for the Karishus royal family. They can do whatever they want. The land was theirs. So they can build whatever they want there. Are we going to use it? Probably not. But it's there. And it's under the Russian Federation name. Not Daniel, not anybody's name. It's there. Waiting for one day when we win. And we'll see what happens to the place. Anyway, it's a private enterprise of oligarchs who wanted to show how much they love the cause. So one brought $1 billion, another 100,000 euros, another 2 million, and they built that shit. That huge, beautiful shit. Beautiful. But it doesn't belong to the cause. It doesn't belong to Daniel. It belongs to them. It can belong to the cause whenever we want, but it doesn't yet. It belongs to a company of oligarchs. They built this. These oligarchs serve the cause. They built that when the Kyrgyz win this war, we live there. And that's the story, the true story behind Putin's palace. And that's it. And there's nothing else more. Cheers, love you.
Сразу хочу ответить на ваш вопрос. Ничего из того, что там указано в качестве моей собственности, ни мне, ни моим близким родственникам не принадлежит и никогда не принадлежало. Никогда.